From dry January to sober October, giving up alcohol seems to be growing in popularity, especially with millennials and Gen Zers. That's why there has been a huge influx of mocktails and non-alcoholic drinks available, and some have ingredients that include CBD, THC, and something called nootropics that boost mood-altering effects without alcohol. But are these really sobriety friendly? Joining us to discuss is James MacKillop. He is the director of the DeGroote Center for Medicinal Cannabis Research at McMaster University in Canada. Very important title you've got there, James. Thanks for joining me this morning. Good to have you.
Great to be with you.
Okay, so let's start with these weed-infused drinks that are so popular right now. Some have THC, some have CBD, some have both. What's the difference and what's the buzz or calming effect that you are getting from these?
Well, the buzz about these products is that there are so many different products and they have so many different combinations. And THC is the psychoactive ingredient in cannabis products. It's what makes you high. It's what also causes impairment. And for some people, it's what causes addiction. In contrast, CBD is the non-psychoactive ingredient, and that's been implicated in medical benefits for a number of conditions, although that's also unclear for other ones. And so it's really a Wild West landscape now in terms of what's available on the market, in terms of THC versus CBD versus both, and how much of these product molecules are actually in the products that are out there.
Okay, so are they really a better alternative for people who are trying to be what some call California sober, where you don't drink alcohol, but maybe you might have CBD or THC?
Well, it's certainly not a medical recommendation at this point to switch from one to the other. I think that there's a lot of speculation that some people may migrate towards cannabis products to remove some of the harms from other substances. There's a lot of interest in whether or not cannabis products could replace opioids, for example. And certainly alcohol has a lot of harms. So if reducing your drinking by moving more to cannabis products could be helpful, but it's always the devil is in the details in terms of, are you just substituting one problematic substance for another problematic substance, and the problems themselves aren't really going away. So it's a very complicated issue and a person-by-person issue too.
Okay, so personal issue. Let's talk about some of the risks associated with these. I want to walk through this list of things that people should be concerned about. And one of them you kind of touched on already, if we can get the graphic pulled up now, and that is that this industry is unregulated. The body will absorb these different chemicals quicker, if I'm not mistaken, and that in some cases it could result in psychosis, and that it can also be addictive. Do we not have the graphic to bring up? Okay, well, anyway, let's address those things I just mentioned. Tell me what you can say about that.
Absolutely. So I think in contrast to alcohol, where people really know what standard drinks are, that basically a glass of wine is equivalent to a full beer and a shot of liquor, people don't really have reference points for the cannabis products. So they can't necessarily judge how strong one is just based on its flavor alone, or even based on the labeling. There isn't a lot of public education around labeling. So the risk of over-consuming is much higher. You won't necessarily feel the effects right away because obviously the drink has to be absorbed in the stomach, and that takes some time. And that can lead to a greater risk of overconsumption if a person, for example, chugs 3 of these drinkables that have high THC levels, and then only in 15 minutes, let's say, starts to experience some of those potent effects. And then the other component is that actually when you consume cannabis orally, you actually receive more of the psychoactive effects because there's a metabolite that isn't produced via smoking. So there can be even more pronounced intoxication. So there can be additive risks from these drinks, in my opinion, because they may lead to overconsumption.
Yeah, okay, it sounds like buyer beware, but a lot of big names like Katy Perry and Bella Hadid, they've also gotten into this industry with non-alcoholic drinks that contain botanicals, that is. James, we're out of town, unfortunately, and I wanted to ask you more questions, including someone told me that they add vodka to their CBD drink. Is that bad? Real quick, can you tell me?
Short answer, yes.
Okay, don't do it then, don't do it. James, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I appreciate your time. So nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.